So the first meal I'm cooking is chicken biryani. I'll show you the chicken in a minute. I've already pre-fried the chicken just to speed this meal along. Otherwise it could, I don't want to be here all night. Not that it takes that long. So what I've got in the cast iron pan right now is just the oil from the chicken. I did get rid of some of it. I left about a tablespoon in, and I've got 2 onions here, just thinly sliced, moon slice, quarter moon, eighth of a moon, and I'm just going to fry them up just to get all the bits off the bottom. And then in terms of the chicken, it doesn't have to be fully cooked. The recipe calls for it to be cooked for just 7 minutes. I always find that's not enough. So generally, I mean, it's personal preference. Chicken is bone in, skin on chicken thighs. I think you could probably do skin on breast. I haven't done that. It would take less time to cook, but really the idea is I like to get it at least halfway cooked and the chicken browned up a bit. And essentially I'm just going to cook these onions until they go soft. And then once the onions are soft, we will add the rest of the ingredients, which is 3 ingredients. It's rice, thyme, and chicken stock. We'll stir it, we'll bring it to a boil, and then you just lay the chicken on top of it and you put a lid on. And then in 20 minutes it's cooked. And you let it rest, turn the heat off, let it rest for 10 minutes, and then you basically have your meal. It's really easy, and it's simple and it's tasty. As I do things, you guys will see, but maybe we can just discuss other people's suggestions for one pot meals in the meantime.
Have you tried this, Julie? Have you tried it with other things besides chicken?
No, I have not, but my son wants me to. He's all about changing it up. I haven't really experimented with it. What were you thinking? Sausages or?
No, I was just thinking that whenever I order from Aroma, there's all sorts of biryanis, and I like rice, and I don't know, there's just lots that come up, and I'm actually not, I know that I like it, but I'm not familiar with why they call it that.
I actually don't know.
It's the spices usually. Yeah.
But there's not even any spices in here other than thyme. But like I said, I mean, what I like about this meal is its simplicity. It doesn't get much easier than this, really. Even you could do it, Yolanda.
Yeah, I'm taking notes because my husband spent some time in India, so he's a big fan of. He actually stayed in a place that was, I think it's where biryani comes from, so Hyderabad. And so he's pescatarian, so he doesn't have it with meat. And he usually has vegetable biryani, or I think he's had shrimp before. I can't remember what the most traditional is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Does anybody want to share a one-pot meal they have cooked while Julie's cooking up the onions?
I just popped one in the chat with a link that I made tonight that one of our kids has made before, called a one-pan Mexican quinoa. One-pan Mexican quinoa. So I popped the link in there. So if you do click on the link, it'll open something elsewhere that you can look at later, or you can copy it. But it's, I haven't tasted it yet, my version of it, but it looks good and it smells good in here. So.
And it's also great when recipes get posted where it's got that little link that says jump to the recipe, so you don't have to read the whole blog post, which is, I'm sure, not the effort the authors want you to take, but that's what I do.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Jerry? You must have a one-pot meal.
Not really.
No?
No. I was thinking of them today, and always it came down to 2 pots. Like, I was thinking about spaghetti pie, which is totally delicious, but you have to cook the spaghetti separate from the spaghetti pie.
Oh, well, I guess for my rice dish, it would be a 2-pot one too, but.
So if that qualifies, then spaghetti pie is amazing. Yeah. It's made with Like you can make it with meat sauce or just tomato sauce, but you just bake it with cottage cheese and cream cheese in the middle, as well as the spaghetti, and then mozzarella cheese on top, of course. It's delicious.
Mm. Sounds good. Okay, so these are almost done, but we can take more suggestions for one pot meals.
Well, I have a what I think consider an easy one to do, and it is literally one pot, and it's called a Spanish lentil pilaf, and it's in a recipe book, so I can't put a link on there, but you put everything into the one pot and cook it. And it's got the canned stewed tomatoes, water, brown rice uncooked, green lentils, red lentils, chopped onions, celery, vegetable stock, some dried sweet basil, some pepper, and then when it's done, you mix in some grated cheese. And it's fast and it's good and relatively nutritious.
And what's it
Sounds
called,
good.
Betty? Sorry?
It's called a Spanish lentil pilaf.
What's the cookbook?
It's from Jean Perret's cookbook.
Oh, yeah.
And it's called Beans and Rice. And I've had this for quite a long while. And I make this quite often. And then you bring it to a boil, stirring it often. And you sort of simmer it for about 60 minutes until the rice and lentils are tender. And then you add the cheese and mix that all in together.
Sounds good.
Delicious.
All right, I think so the onions have softened up enough that I'll let it go. If I was doing this without an audience, I probably would let them cook down a little bit more, but my husband will eat anything. So I'm just going to add the 2 cups of chicken stock. And then I've got a cup of, actually it's jasmine rice. You can use any long grain rice will do. We do use brown rice as well. And then just a tablespoon of fresh thyme. And all I'm going to do is stir it in, scrape the good bits off the bottom. And once it reaches a boil, then I'll place the chicken on top and I'll just put the lid on, and that's essentially it. Right now it kind of looks like soup. Another one pot meal I do is it's called a sheet pan lemon chicken. And it's a Greek flavored one where you have a Greek marinade that you put on the chicken, and then you toss the chicken and just cut up potatoes and a lemon. You cut the lemon in half and you actually roast it as well. And anyways, you mix them all together, just throw it in the oven, and then at the end, towards the end of the cooking of the chicken and the potatoes, you just take the lemon that you've roasted and squeeze it all over top of everything, and throw it back in the oven. And it's quite tasty, and it's really simple. And it is a one pot meal for sure. Okay, so that's it. We'll wait 20 minutes. I'll put the timer on so I don't forget. Rob, can you set your timer for 20 minutes? That's always his job when I'm cooking. He's the timer. Okay, so the second meal I'm doing. Oh, wait, you know what, guys? We didn't put the chicken in. See, I told you multitasking wasn't going to be in my favor today.
I made butter tarts one year at Christmas and forgot to put the butter in.
Oh, that's funny.
They got eaten.
Oh, we've all done that, though. I'm trying to think what my biggest fail was. I'm sure it was a big one, but nothing comes to mind.
when we just got married, my husband's a chef, and I made cookies, and I used, like, we had this bulk thing that was so big, and it was white and granular, so I just assumed it was sugar, and it was salt. And he scornfully looked at me and said, "Don't you taste it before you use it?" And I said, "No, nobody has 10 pounds of salt." And then the next time, and then about 6 months later, he made cookies and did the exact same thing, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I could not resist saying, "Do you not taste it before you use it?"
Mm. Okay, so the next one is vegetable fried rice. It's, again, really, it's easy, and it's the best way to use your leftovers, even if you've got leftover rice. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fry up an egg first. I'll take the egg out. I'll add some butter to the frying pan. I'll just cook the vegetables for about 5 minutes, and then I'll add the rice. And then I'll just season it, fry it just till it gets warm. And then we'll just add the green onions, and the seasonings will be added in once I put the rice in. And it's simple. Now, going back to your question earlier, Jerry, about what else you've done, I've used leftover chicken and cut it up and had chicken fried rice. We've done it with prawns. Often I'll just get sausages and take the sausage meat out of the casings, fry it up, and then put that in. So it's pretty versatile. I mean, you can do it vegetarian, you can add tofu, you can add shrimp. Really, you can do anything you want. The recipe doesn't change, particularly. I mean, and I find it's just a great way to use leftovers if you've got them. And it's a meal that keeps on giving too. It goes a long way. My son says I always make too much rice, but I don't know, they eat it. So in terms of,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, in terms of the seasonings that we use, it's oyster sauce. But again, you don't have to use oyster sauce. You can use a black bean sauce. You can use a pepper sauce. Or you can omit it altogether. And then in this case, I've got gluten-free soy sauce, and then just some sesame oil, which again, if you don't have it, it's not, it's not like you have to rush out to buy it. The recipe calls for it, but it just comes down to personal preference. And then the other thing I use is this, it's a chili paste from TNT. It's a gochujang, I think. I don't know how to pronounce it. My son introduced us to this a while back, and we use it to spice up a lot of our food. But it's similar to like just a normal chili paste, chili and garlic paste. What were you going to say, Jen?
I was just going to say, I dropped a recipe in that we've shared with lots of friends and have made a lot. It's a 1-pot creamy garlic pasta. And it is vegan, but most people don't know just because we use coconut milk. But it's absolutely delicious, and it's truly a 1-pot thing. You make the sauce in the pot, and then you throw the pasta in and you cook it in the sauce. So it comes out very, very creamy. And then, of course, you can add whatever you want on top of it. But we've done that one over and over again and shared it and taken it camping and shared it with friends and stuff. So it's in there also.
Perfect. I mean, if it's tried and true and it gets eaten, and you can do it in 1 pot. So I just added more butter to the frying pan, and I just added 2 diced carrots, half a cup of peas, and 1 small onion that was diced. And I'm going to just let them soften up about 5 minutes. And next up will go the rice and the seasoning. That's it for now. We can chat more.
Yolanda, earlier I saw you taking your mute off and then somebody else beat you to it. Do you have a one pot recipe?
No, I'm going to ask the question. One pot means you just use one pot. Is that it? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I
Le-
tend not
less
to use
dishes.
a lot of pot. I just use one pot. So. But there's a Filipino dish which is called adobo, and the way they're pork and chicken pieces, and you mix them. You add what to call this. The way it is you can either cook them all together with garlic, soy sauce, and what else? Garlic, soy sauce, and salt and pepper, and you slowly cook the chicken pieces. It could be chicken thighs cut into smaller, like 4 pieces, or and then like chunks of pork pieces, um, and then you cook it slowly and tenderize it, and then you cook you cook it you eat it with rice. So it's just one pot, and it's just a slow simmering cooking of pork and chicken. Very simple. And then as the pork and chicken tenderizes, you add vinegar, and the vinegar and the oil, the soy sauce mixes, and it becomes like a sauce, and that's they call it adobo, which is a Filipino dish. And I didn't know how to cook it until maybe 10 years of my married life. Somebody taught me how to cook it. So that's my one pot dish.
Oh, well, sounds
And
good.
when I learned to cook it, because my son said, "Oh, I love this." Then we visited my family in the Philippines, and my sisters are great cooks, and my sister cooked adobo, and my son said to me, "Mom, this is a different version of your adobo." So I thought that was a great, but yeah, they're my sisters are great cooks. Yeah, so but that is the one pot dish that I can think of.
Does anybody have any other things that they? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Judy.
So I do, it's called a chicken chili dish, and it's just done in a crock pot, and you just put everything in and turn it on. And so what it has is, did you want all the ingredients? So it's tomato sauce, 2 cans of tomato sauce, and a can of diced tomatoes, and 1 can of kernel corn, and a can of kidney beans, and a can of black beans. And then you add a teaspoon of chili powder, and 1 package of the taco powder mix, and 1 teaspoon of cumin. And you just mix that all up, and you put 3 chicken breasts on top of it, and just put the lid on and cook it. It says cook on low for 8 to 10 hours, but you could cook it on high. And after it's done, you just shred the chicken breast and mix it in. And it's really tasty, and that's what I've done. And when Julie was talking about the gochujang sauce,
Oh, there you go.
yeah. So Costco where I bought this at Costco, and if you haven't had it before, it's really hot. So just be aware that it's quite well. This one is quite spicy, right? So
I don't find it that hot.
No, I guess it's
Maybe it's tolerance too, right?
Yeah, that could be.
So yeah, it could be. So just in terms of flavoring the rice, I always start kind of small. What I'll do is I'll put a tablespoon of soy sauce in, and a tablespoon of the oyster sauce, and a good tablespoon of how did you pronounce that, Judy?
I just call it
The
gochujang.
Okay, so that sauce. Because it's always easier to add more, and it's kind of hard to fix it if you put too much in. So I'll just keep stirring, work it in, and then we just do some tasting. I've got some green onions here that I'm going to put in. And then towards the end, once I'm happy with the taste of it, then I'll go back and I'll put the egg in at the end as well. I think we're probably close. As always, I put more rice in than the recipe called for, so I'll probably end up putting more sauce in, but I'm just going to let it work its way in for now, and then I'll have a taste and see what I think. But I see it is easy, and if you were to do sausage, you would cook the sausage first and then just pull it out, do the rice, and then add the sausage. The same thing. If I was doing prawns, I would fry the prawns up first and then add them at the end. You know, if you've got leftover roast chicken, you could just add the chicken when you add the rice. It's simple, and as you can see, it is a meal. I mean, it's got all the vegetables and it's tasty. I think it's tasty. My family likes it.
Actually,
and
I
easy.
cook that. Actually, because I'm Asian, we cook that at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And what do
I
you?
don't know. Well, I don't know what to call it, but my kids call it fried rice.
Yeah. What
But
kind of spices?
I use the same as what you use.
Oh, okay.
What do you call this? The oyster sauce.
Mm-hmm.
My kids don't like sesame oil, so I put it on the side.
Mm-hmm.
But I like soy sauce and oyster sauce. So, but I add, as what you do, if there's shrimp, I use shrimp, but pork, slices of pork and chicken, and it's a full meal.
Mm-hmm.
But we just call it fried rice at home.
Okay. So in this frying pan, I used 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, and that was enough. I'm not going to add any more spices to it. So I'm just going to break the egg up, and essentially this meal's done. You know what Rob and I are going to be having for dinner for the next 5 days. Unfortunately, our son's away right now, so Rob's going to have to take one for the team.
You can send some over to my house. My stomach is grumbling.
Yeah.
Did you use brown rice, Julie, or white rice? I didn't see.
Yeah, I just bring it closer so you guys can see it. Can you see it?
Yeah, nice.
I wish you could smell it.
Oh, I know. I use brown rice, Jerry, and I use both, but I prefer brown rice because it doesn't go as mushy. Like, it just seems to be more firm, and that is my preference for a fried rice. I find white rice just can go a bit soft.
A lot of times it helps if, like, fried rice always works better with leftover rice. So if it's been in the fridge for a day or two at least, and then it kind of
that's what they say.
It
has to be chilled, right?
Yeah. And it kind of dries it out a little bit, so that helps with the texture.
Yeah. So there you go. We've got another 6 minutes, and my biryani should be done. I can always pull the lid off earlier if we need to, but that's 2 meals done in what? Half hour? Less than half an hour?
You have a whole week of meals.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's all right. I can take some over to my mom, and it'll get eaten.
You have to count the time you spent getting things ready and collected and measured as well.
But all I did was cut an onion and a carrot.
Yeah.
Right? Good. It's not like it was really, honestly, a lot of work. And particularly when you're doing 2 meals at the same time, then it's just one cleanup.